So we've got a 2004 and a half Chevrolet 3500 with a Duramax in it. It's the LLY version. And another long story here, but it showed up, and it's got a misfire, and it had, well, actually it has multiple misfires, I found out, but it had a P1241 control circuit from the ECM to the EDU, or the fuel injection control module, and that is the circuit between the actual ECM and the fuel injection control module. So of course the first thing that I did was I checked that circuit, unplugged the connector on the ECM and unplugged the appropriate connector on the EDU, or the FICM here, and stick my bulb in there because I love my bulb. It's a halogen bulb. It draws some pretty good current, and then manipulate the wiring harness, wiggle it, pull it, tug it, do all that stuff. Bulb never even blinked. So verified, I'm happy with my integrity of my wiring. So that leaves us the ECM, which isn't very likely. It's got a driver in there that tells the EDU or the FICM, hey, start pulsing injector number 7. Okay, go ahead, and it determines how much and how wide of a pulse width and all that crap. So no problem in the wires at all. So the next thing I did, and it was kind of a waste of time, but I did it anyway because I already had the connectors off. I checked both circuits, the command circuit and the control circuit, which we like to rename shit in this industry because I guess we get bored, but it's powers and grounds. That's what it is. You got a supply of power to 4 injectors, and constant supply. They're divided up 4 and 4, and the firing order on this thing is real goofy, and I can never remember it. I always have to look it up. So you have 4 injectors, and they're on separate banks, and then the other 4 are on one power side, and the other 4 are on the other power side. It's the end of the day, Monday, and it's hot, and I'm kind of tired. But anyway, if you have an issue between the FICM in the harness and your injectors, any circuit issue, any power or ground, or control circuit, command circuit, because the engineers, they get bored and they want to change the name of power and ground, the FICM is going to shut down that bank if it detects an open circuit, or say a short to ground, which happens a lot on these little connectors. And I did wiggle the connector and pulled and tugged on it a little bit, on the injector. No problem there, because my problem is on that side, or it's in my FICM. So now I need to figure out where is my problem. Is it my PCM, or is it my EDU, or my FICM? So what I did was I grabbed both power wires on the EDU or the FICM, and with an amp probe, and put that on one channel, and then I synced up, found the injector command. I can't remember if command is power or ground, but anyway, I found that turned me on signal coming out of the FICM going to injector number 1, and I put my other amp probe around that so that I could sync it up on the scope. And I looked at it, and I did a recording while it was misfiring so I could come out and look at it. This is a Modus, and I don't have as much detail as like a Pico, but whatever, it gets me by. So here's my number 1 firing right here, the green line. I don't know if you can see that or not. And then this would be number 1. And the freaking firing order is 1, 2, 7, 8, 4, 5, and you see 5 is barely turning on there, and then 6 and 3, and these all look pretty good. And you're going to notice some differences in here. If I zoomed in on that, you could really see the detail, but you'll notice the differences there because the pulse width is going to be changing, because you have your balancing rates. It's cutting the pulse width back or increasing it, you know, during each engine revolution, it's measuring the rotational velocity of the engine through the crankshaft sensor. And if it's speeding up or slowing down during that power stroke, it's going to add or take away fuel. And that's what those numbers mean. It's on the positive side, it's adding, and on the negative side, it's taking fuel away. So, you know, trying to slow that down to keep the engine idle balanced. So I went in there, snapped the throttle, started misfiring, came out here, hit my recording so I could take, I don't know, so many frames of this scope pattern, and I can scroll through it here and look and see. So we've got 1, 2, 7, which is pretty low there. I mean, I didn't actually look at the voltage on the scale over here, but it's probably okay. Let's see. Yeah, this one here. So we've got 1, 2, 7, 8. No, 1, 2, 7, 8. Can't count. 4, 5 is pretty much missing. 6 and 3 is missing. So it had kind of a choppy idle, and it was misfiring. And going through this, my entire capture, it's completely random. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I don't have a EDU or a FICM for an LLY, so I'm going to borrow one from my tool guy because he happens to have a spare. So I'm going to go get it tomorrow and just verify that this is bad, because I don't believe that my control circuit on my ECM is bad. So, you know, I'll go from there. But you know, this is a good way to, you know, I can actually see the injectors opening and closing here and look at them and see what the voltages are. And sure, you know, because of the balancing rates at an idle, it's going to be adjusting the pulse width, and it's going to show up in different, you know, I mean, if it's open a lot or if it's open a little bit, it's going to vary. Your pulse, you know, the width of your trace here is going to be wider or narrower, or maybe a little bit higher voltage. So it doesn't really take long to do this, and it told me what I needed to know. So now all I need to do is verify if the FICM's bad or not. Like I said, the only code it had was that circuit control or command circuit, whatever, power ground, the ground circuit. Basically, you got a driver in the ECM that's, you know, pulsing a ground to tell the EDU or the FICM to turn on injector number 7, and it determines that by, you know, throttle, all that crap, you know, engine, you know, mass airflow, throttle position, you know, oil temperature, engine temperature, you know, vehicle speed, all that kind of stuff. It's going to determine how much fuel, you know, how hard to and how long to open that injector, because when you put fuel in a diesel, you know, that's what makes it rev up. You know, you put fuel and air in it. So anyway, I'll get that tomorrow. I'll plug it in there, and then we'll verify that the FICM is bad, and then I'll order one up. It's probably going to be on some kind of back order, so I'll probably have to try to hunt one down at a wrecking yard and put a used one in. They don't seem to go bad that often, so this kind of surprises me. But anyway, we'll get that done and see if that fixes it. And if it doesn't fix it, then, you know, we'll keep going. But I'm pretty confident that we got a issue in our FICM because of what I'm seeing here on the scope. So, you know, random misfire, different cylinders. And if there was an issue, it's not going to be the injectors, because if you have an open or a short on the injector side of the EDU FICM, it's going to shut the 4 cylinders for each bank. If it's on this set of 4 cylinders, it's going to shut them off, so then the engine's going to run on 4 cylinders. So the problem, the code is indicating that the issue is between the ECM and the FICM. Well, I don't find a problem with the ECM, and I don't find a problem in my wiring harness to the EDU, so I'm thinking EDU along with my misfires. So anyway, it's not rocket science, it's easy. I probably could have done it a lot better today if I wasn't tired, but anyway, thanks for watching.